small copper mining community in Arizona. And most of the folks that graduated from that high school their aspirations were to go to work in the copper mine. I had greater aspirations in mind, and I knew that I wanted to do something more in my life. Football was very special to me, and I knew that I wanted to play major college ball somewhere. But I also knew the value of a good education. When I learned and discovered the Air Force Academy, I thought this would be an incredible place not only to play the sport that I loved, but also to get that incredible education at this fine institution. I wasn't a distinguished graduate, though, but I did survive. So once I got here, I realized that there is a heck of a lot more to the Air Force Academy and the Air Force than just academics and athletics. So let me explain. Early on, a source of inspiration for me is a statue that sits out from Mitchell Hall. It's the eagle and fledglings. And the inscription on it states, "Man's flight through life is sustained by the power of his knowledge." Well, during my time here and throughout my career, I've kind of changed that a little bit. Knowledge is definitely good, but I believe that relationships is what gets you through life. My mantra is man's path through life, or is the man's flight through life is sustained by the power of relationships. Whether it's relationships with your family and friends, whether it's relationships with your colleagues, whether it's the relationships that you're going to have when you get into an Air Force organization dealing with your superiors and your subordinates. Take it a step further. It could be the relationship that you establish with those from other services. Because we all serve our military, but there is a difference in our cultures. And you have to develop those relationships so that you understand how to deal with those different cultures. And to take it a step further, sometime in your career, you're going to get the opportunity to work with men and women from other nations. And that you're definitely dealing with someone from a different culture, and developing those relationships will sustain you. I tell my staffs all the time, I can be the smartest person in the room. I know that I'm not. But if I haven't developed a relationship with those around me, my chances of success are probably marginalized. As a result, our Chief of Staff of the Air Force, Chief Welch, says this all the time. Every airman in the Air Force has a story. And if you're going to lead our airmen, you should know what that story is. I really learned about this relationship piece from an instructor at the prep school. His name was Captain Bud Kelly. He was in the first prep school class, came back as an instructor and coach. And Captain Kelly taught, he took each of us aside, and he showed us the path to success. He showed us the path to graduation. He didn't need to go out and do that, but he did it because he felt it was his duty as a mentor to care and to make a difference in our lives. He taught me that relationships matter. And though we need to blaze our own trails in life, there's someone out there that has blazed that trail before you, and there's others that are willing to help you along that same path. In every step of my career, a relationship with a friend, a mentor, or a fellow airman has made a significant difference in my life. From the time here at the Academy, to getting through pilot training, to leading airmen in combat, and now to becoming the Vice Commander of the Air Force Reserve Command. I encourage each of you to develop relationships with people around you early and often, because you never know what that impact might have on you, them, or the mission. So let me share one story before I conclude. All of us in this room, and I can't believe how young you were when 9/11 occurred, but all of us in this room understand where we were on that particular day. I had just gotten back off an airline trip. I was piddling around in the garage. My wife was watching the Today Show. She opened the garage door and she said, "You might want to come in here and see this." As I walked in, I saw the replay of the first aircraft impacting the Trade Center. I was kind of baffled. And then all of a sudden, here comes the second one. There was no question what had taken place. I put my airline uniform in the back of the closet. I pulled out my flight suit, and I knew that I had to go do what I had been trained for many years, and do my duty as a citizen airman. So I had the opportunity to lead a special operations unit out of Dukeville, Florida, which is up in the Panhandle. It is a special operations unit that flew the MC-130, the Talon 1. It's a penetrating tanker that goes beyond enemy lines and refuels special ops helicopters and provides resources to the battlefield for our men and women. There was a lot to be proud of during that first engagement. We had 5,000 hours of combat incident-free flying. We flew numerous missions where we helped kill the bad guys that attacked our nation. And just the recognition alone that we received and the gratification of knowing that we led these airmen into combat and brought them home safely. But the greatest honor that I had from that experience and the greatest sense of accomplishment was the special ops community commenting that these guys will never let you down. They will never let you down regardless of how intense the mission is, how critical the scenario is where we needed to get them their fuel so that they could get home. They claimed that these guys will always find a way to get the mission done. To this day, that has been one of the greatest compliments I've ever received. Because the words, "we can trust you," in the special ops community is pretty huge. And that trust can be lost in seconds. Trust is really born out of personal integrity and built upon by the power of relationships. So no matter how tough the situation, whether on a gridiron or the football field or in combat on the battlefield, I knew the difference was the men and women I served with, that the relationships formed would carry the day and enable mission success. And the best relationships endure, like those that I developed at the prep school and the Air Force Academy. I'm still in touch with many of my classmates. Many of them were here that I saw this afternoon. I'm going tomorrow to Scott Air Force Base to see my good friend, Lieutenant General Brooks Bash, retire. He was the first member of our class to pin on a star. So keep in touch with your friends that you've developed here. As I look back on my Air Force career, I know it was the second best thing I did. The number one thing was marrying my wife, who's not here today, couldn't be here with me. But Ginger, my wife, was a JAG for 25 years, and if she was here, she would tell you that having a lawyer in the house, that's why I've got 2 stars on my shield. But finally, I want to thank you guys again, class of 2015. It's an honor for me to be able to have been invited here to have this short time with you. Before I conclude, though, I'll offer this. You're about to take the first step in charting your future path. That path is not easy. It will be challenging and uncertain. But the world is an uncertain place today. With Ebola, ISIS, the Ukraine, potentially going back to the Cold War antics, and the fiscal constraints that our nation is facing that are probably not going to change in the near term. While you're all off to different things in the Air Force, and that could be flying mobility aircraft, could be flying combat aircraft, It could be becoming an acquisition officer, a contracting officer, a space officer, a cyber officer, an RPA pilot. The list goes on and on and on of opportunities that you're going to get in our Air Force. But remember this, you are officers first. Let me say that again. You are officers first. Don't ever forget that. But more than anything else, you are now members of a much larger Air Force family. We can't accomplish our mission alone. The relationships that you've built will be foundational. As you join the family, though, don't forget to keep the balance on the home front. Because when you retire and the retirement flag comes out, the folks that are going to go see you in old folks' home are not those guys. They're going to be those folks. Don't forget. And if our paths never crossed in my short time left in the Air Force, and even outside the Air Force, the fact that I've gotten to be a part of your graduation today, I will always be your wingman. I will always be your mentor. I will always be your friend. Thank you very much for this opportunity. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless America. Thank you.
Yeah, dude.